some trains. Here we got an old train. This is a vintage toy train. This thing is from 1946. I'm your host, EJ Parker. We are live. Vintage Classic Solutions, World Headquarters. This is a Lionel toy train. This thing's getting warmed up. These are fun. Come on. It needs more juice. Add something. This is the inside of this. So if you see this, let me get this bird out of the way. That can go there. How about that? This thing. The thing on the track right now is the inside of this. This is a 1946 vintage toy train by Lionel. It's made in the USA, New York City. So you're looking at the inside of it on this track right now. That is what you're seeing. It looks bizarre. You want to see it up close? Okay. We can play that game. Check this weird thing out. I'm your host, EJ Parker. Thanks for checking in, by the way. Look at this thing. Look at this bizarre contraption. We're alive. This thing weighs, I don't know, 6 pounds. That's Bakelite. We love Bakelite here at Vintage Classic Solutions. So these things get hot. These springs get hot. This thing is a formidable toy. So that's the inside. That's what you're looking at on the track. Why am I doing this? I think it looks really cool and interesting, right? This thing on the track looks great. I gotta line it back up. Thanks for joining me. We are live. I'm your host and curator, EJ Parker, here at Vintage Classic Solutions. We're running trains, vintage toy trains from the late 1940s and early 1950s. There. Dang it. All right. We good? We're good. It's got a little bit of a tip to it. All right, let's get this thing on the track and get it going for all you wonderful people out there. We're going to add the coal car, the tender, in a minute. 1946, folks. Need more juice. Up the hill. So there's a slant, just so you know what's going on this track. It's going uphill right now. This is the toughest part, and it's going to go down, and it's easier. So you see where it's got to work the hardest. Right there is the hardest part for it to work. Right there. So if you can make it past that, it's good. So this is a good amount of juice. Now this train is good at low speed. That kind of makes it fun. I need to add this. This is not the original coal car. But I need to add this if I want to add cars to this, which we're going to do. We're going to see how much. I can't get too carried away with this little train because I don't have that many cars in this room. But this is a weighted coal car that we're going to add to this in a second. And I think I have a few more cars in the house laying around. We are live. Thanks for joining me. My name is EJ Parker. We are running the trains live here at Vintage Classic Solutions. A late night run of the trains. Oh yeah. This thing has not been oiled. It's been in the basement for, I think, 2 years. We might run this train tonight. Ta-da! Look at that train. Look at this thing. This thing is awesome. We might run this train later. We might just have to. All right, we're running a vintage train. This is 1946 Lionel, and it's best. This is made in the USA. What you're looking at right now is this. The inside of this. This is a vintage train turbine, S2 turbine, based off a real model. Pennsylvania Railroad. All right, so let's add a little something, shall we? Let's add the, we're gonna add this, the coal car. And see, you can pull it, no problem. You can no problem pull it. Let's see. And away it goes. Thanks for joining. We are live here at Vintage Classic Solutions. I'm your host, EJ Parker. We are running the trains, vintage trains from the late 40s and the 50s. If you like this kind of stuff, you're in the right place. Hear that sound? That's awesome. It's old school engineering, metal gears. Should we get a close-up? Let's try. All right, ready? Oh yeah, now we're down in the village. We're alive in Train Town. Look out. Train's coming. Look out. These are vintage trains from the 1940s and 50s. Check that out. We took the shell off. You see the shell right there? You're looking at the insides of the train. Going downhill, now going uphill. Oh, let's see. It needs a little more juice. This is a vintage 1946 Lionel toy train. We took the shell off. You're looking at the insides of it. Let's get a close-up. How about that? If I can catch this damn thing. Let's see. You want to see how an antique toy train works? Let's see. There you go. It's live. A little push. Needs more juice. We are live looking at a vintage toy train from 1946. The innards, the guts, the train guts. Look at that. That's the worm gear. Bam! Look out. Smell that bake light getting hot. And away it goes. All right, let's add a train, shall we? Let me fix, and thanks for joining. We are live, Vintage Classic Solutions, vintage toy trains. We are running these things. It's been a long time adjusting the freaking camera. There we go. Is that good? All right, let's try that. All right, let's add one. Let's add this tagged orange boxcar. Where's it going? I don't know. Let's find out. I want to put the cap, I want to put the top on this one, but we're going to run the diesel. So don't worry, we have more vintage trains. I am your host here at Vintage Classic Solutions, EJ Parker. We're doing a little late night, or not late night, but just night train. I like the sound of that. Night train run. These are vintage 1940s and 1950s, post World War II Lionel toy trains. These are like the toy. Cool, I can put that on too. This is a diesel. This is from 1953. This is my dad's, and this thing still works. So does my dad. This thing is awesome. It's a diesel. It's like an Erie, PA model. He got it for Christmas back in the day. When I was little, I played with it, me and my brother, back in like the 80s. This thing still works, and it's gonna keep working. It's remarkable. These things are made so well. It's just freaking amazing. They sound cool. They smell cool. You gotta oil them and grease them. All right, I'm gonna put that on there. All right, I think that's good. Thanks for checking in. I'm your host, EJ. Let's run this train. So, that ain't gonna work. We're gonna connect this. Alright, let's see. There should be no problem. What's going on here? Alright. Let's go watch the wheels, make sure it's all on track. That's good. This train's got magnet traction. That means it grips, the engine grips the track, got magnets in the wheels. It really works too. It's not a gimmick, it really does grab the track and helps. It helps them pull more. That's the peak of the mountain right there. We are live. Vintage Trains here at Vintage Classic Solutions. I am your host, EJ Parker. This is a 1950, I forget, let me double check. It's 54, I think. '52. 1952 FAD diesel number 2032. Classic black and yellow. This thing is awesome. It runs really smooth. It has a dummy train in the back, behind it that I have somewhere. That thing runs great. I'm your host, EJ Parker. We are live. Yeah. Vintage post-war Lionel Trains. Come on, look at that thing. Bam. Yeah. It's a real toy. It's power. It's a toy that can pull things. Isn't that crazy? I'll tell you a funny fact while I adjust these trains. So check this out. I'm not going to do it tonight, but this train right here takes a smoke pellet, right? So you put a smoke pellet in there and it makes smoke puff out. This train dates from 1946. Now, toy trains, like way before this, like the 19 teens and 20s, they also smoked, but they would require your dad's cigarette. So the kid would be like, "Hey, Dad, have a cigarette," a lit cigarette. And then you put it inside the train, and it would puff the cigarette. The train. Isn't that funny? Oh, how toys have changed. All right, I think it's on the track. This is 27 gauge. All right. All right, let's get this thing on the track. It's got to go uphill now. The highest point is right here, where the white meets the black poster board. So if you can get that up to there, that's it. And then it's just downhill. Well, that's the highest point. We are live with Vintage Trains at Vintage Classic Solutions. All right, here we go. Clunkerville RR. Mark's guy here. Yeah. Uh, I love the way the marks look. I don't have any marks. I don't think I do. None that work. I just know the Lionel from what my dad had these as a kid, and then I learned about him as a kid, and then now as an adult. I really deep dove into these. I'll tell you what happened with these. I'm your host, EJ Parker. Thanks for checking in. You're live. Vintage Classic Solutions with these awesome toy trains of yesteryear. How about that? So I'm a vintage and antique dealer. That's what I do for a living, but I also collect things, which is extremely dangerous. So it was 2023. Something rekindled my interest in these toy trains, and it was I deep dove into these things for about 4 months. I bought a few, and I took them apart, and I cleaned them. I didn't really modify them at all. I fixed them if I had to. I drove my family members crazy. They're like, shut up. I learned all these weird train facts. My family's like, shut the hell up. They're sick of hearing about it. But I learned a lot about these trains. A lot. I learned a lot about how tough they actually are. They're not that fragile. When I was a kid, I thought they were fragile. Whoop, watch out, rubber car. Alright, there you go. So I learned how to fix them and maintain them. And I know that if you don't run them, they go bad, kind of like. I do want to get marked. I need to get marked. That's an important toy company in the history of the toy world. It'll happen. I'll find some garage sale or some barn sale with a box of marks, and I'll know all about them. Oh yeah. This is the highest peak right here. There's not that much wheel. You want to look for wheels. If your wheels are spinning, you're losing energy or efficiency or both. That's why you add weight. I add a ton of weight to that locomotive. I went to a hobby store, and there's stick-on lead weights for, I guess, I don't know, downhill soapbox, whatever, cars, or whatever you want. And I put them all inside the locomotive where they won't damage any of the mechanism. And it helps eliminate the wheel slippage. So it just makes it more powerful. It'll grind down the gears faster eventually, but it's okay. I'll replace them. It's fun to work on them. But that's a long way away. These are so tough, these things. See those metal parts? I love it. We are live. Vintage Classic Solutions. I'm your host, EJ Parker. Bam. Thanks for joining me. This train's from 1946. It can smoke. If I put a little smoke, let me show you what I got. Check this out. Lionel smoke pellets, vintage. So you put one of these in that train in a smokestack, and it melts it. It emits smoke. These little pills, you put them in there, and it makes smoke puff out. These are actually the original vintage pills from probably the early 50s. They still work too. Up the hill. Do it. That's the hard. Oh, biggest part right there. Big part of the hill. Come on. Oh yeah. It's hard to keep it maintained at the same speed. It's actually way more challenging than you would think.